All right, let's meet the hip flexors. One half of the hip flexor is this muscle, which is called the iliacus. It lines the inside of the hip bone and comes down and attaches to the top of the inside of the femur. It has a best friend named the psoas, and the psoas is right here. The psoas gets a bad rap because it attaches to the vertebrae in the back, comes down diagonally and attaches to the top of the inside of the femur, same place as the iliacus, and they are grouped together, collectively known as the Iliopsoas. So I'm going to, or hip flexor. So I'm going to keep this psoas highlighted and spin the skeleton around so that you can see, where'd it go? Oh, that's super annoying. Okay, leave it highlighted so you can see it through, that it's through there, but you can't really get to it from the back because it is so deep in your hip. We would have to scoop out all of your intestines to get to it, which we won't do today. So here is the motion of the iliacus and the psoas. It is in charge of hip flexion, which means that it's in charge of picking your leg up and down. So there it is, picking your leg up and down. This is the body's #1 choice to pick the leg up and down. Now, interestingly enough, one of the reasons that that muscle gets a bad reputation is because that muscle contracts whether you are jumping over a hurdle or, does this remind you of something else? Sitting in a chair. So this muscle, all this muscle knows is that its two attachment points are being brought closer together and it will shorten as a result. The question is it shortening because you're jumping over a hurdle, or the question is it shortening just simply by the position you're sitting in? So this muscle gets a hugely bad reputation for the result of just sitting and shortening. So the cool thing is, or the bad thing is, your brain doesn't know the difference. It doesn't know if you're jumping over a hurdle or if you are sitting in a chair. All it knows is that muscle is contracted, or the two attachment points are at least brought closer together, and therefore the muscle is shortened. And so remember that every muscle has an antagonist, and unfortunately, the hip flexor's antagonist in some planes is a big, powerful muscle on the back side of the body that maybe you'll recognize once I get it going. Whoops. Our little friend, the glute. So that's the downside of sitting too much, is that sometimes that hip flexor here, oh, that's the one thing I need to do. Let me show you this really quick. So we're going to peel all these layers off, and I'll show you how close it is to our friend the quad. Maybe you can see it already. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to highlight the psoas again, and I'm going to leave it highlighted so you can see where it attaches on the inside of the front of the femur there, and you can see why people mix it up with the quad all the time. So there it is, still highlighted. There it is, still highlighted. Here come the 3 quads, and then there is the main quad that attaches right next door to it. They are right next door neighbors. So it's really easy to confuse the two, and this is the only section that you really have access on the outside of your body to that iliacus, or to that psoas, or to that hip flexor collectively. Okay, there's your hip flexor anatomy lesson.